right, everybody, welcome to the Motherlode show. We are back. Actually, for those of you listening, this may be the next week, but we are in a new setting. We had this awesome studio before that we are grateful to have Jason and his team put together a beautiful set for us. However, we're all over the place. Sandra, especially you. I mean, looking at your schedule, especially if you go all the way back to like Team USA basketball, I know, I mean, you're literally all over the world at any given time. So we felt like having a scenario where we can just be in our homes, be in a hotel room, be wherever we are at, will allow us to interview more people and get a lot more of these in. So the trade-off is that beautiful space that we had. Hopefully we're able to get more interviews in and be able to do more of these shows and highlight more of these amazing moms that I'm just being blessed to meet. You know most of them, Sandra, but I'm getting to meet a lot of them for the first time. So welcome to our new kind of setup here. So happy to do it. Sandra, how have you been? Like I said, it's been a lot. What's that?
I'm actually, yes, it's not the sweet digs that we had before. We actually seen you in person. It's really cool. So I can do a little sneaker check on you, see how you're doing or whatever. However,
barefoot right now. Nobody wants to see that. But I'm still like literally the sneakers. Sorry, I say shoes. I probably say gym shoes like my dad. But the sneakers that I've been wearing, I've literally never had a compliment on what I've worn on my feet in my entire life. And every day I get something like, those are sweet. So like you've upped to my game. And I literally wear them every day, even though I know I'm supposed to keep them, I don't know, in a case or something and pull them up. But like So, but I think I think you've awakened something because I don't know that I can go back. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, it's a different thing, and I'm so happy. But we'll do occasional sneaker check, and I know that in our future we'll be together somehow, some way. But we just didn't want to stop the momentum, and I'm so glad that we're able to do this, no matter where I am or where you are. And I'm looking forward to it. And you are going to love our guest today. She's amazing.
Well, so I've been reading up on her, and I'm like, wait, how is she able to have accomplished so much, and then B, all while being a mom of people that are accomplishing so much. Like I'm excited to get rolling here. So
without further ado, let's introduce her. Daynia La-Force. Miss La-Force is actually the mother of two wonderful sons. So she's a mom. We're going to have to just start there. But outside of her being a mom, she has an incredible resume. She's the epitome of, I guess if you were to open up a dictionary, I'm going to date myself. We used to have encyclopedias back in the day. Okay. So an encyclopedia of someone said basketball mom, it is her. She is the prototype for a basketball mom because she's done everything basketball related, playing, coached on all levels. I'm sure. I don't know if you coached high school or middle school, but did you ever?
No, never high school or middle school.
Okay. But she's coached on all levels, in college and in the pros, and she has a son that's now playing on the pro level. So we got a couple of questions for you. Miss La-Force, welcome, Daynia.
Thank you.
Welcome. So glad.
Thanks for having me.
You took some time out of your busy schedule to spend it with us. We're really excited to get into it and just hear more about you. And Sandra, what do we have first? What do we have up first?
So first, I'm going to just tell you how we met, okay? Because apparently we have a mutual friend that we've known for, at least for me, since college. So I'm dating myself way back. And had I gone to more functions that this friend had, I'm sure I would have met her a very long time ago. But of course, family, basketball, jobs to lead you in so many different paths. So I only started talking to Daynia, because I'm a coach, maybe the last year or so. And she's fabulous. I mean, I've learned so much from her on so many different levels. And we have so much in common. So, yes, we're both mothers, right? At this point in our life, we're mothers, and we're mothers of professional basketball players, right? So that's one thing. But from that aside, the heritage, West Indian, Caribbean heritage, and so forth and so
Mm-hmm.
on. But we also have the blessing and opportunity to also lead our sons on the philanthropy side of things. So we have a lot to talk
Oh
about in
yeah.
here. So thank you for joining us.
Excited to be here.
I want to backtrack because I have so many questions, and this is where I get to ask you questions and learn more about you because I know you
Okay.
playing at Georgetown University,
Mm-hmm.
Big East, right? Tell us what that
Yeah.
was like because I'm curious. I only know the male side of things in the Big East. So
Right.
tell us how you got into basketball, how it all began, and
Oh
how.
wow.
Yes,
It's
please.
it's it's funny because it kind of goes back to our mutual. First of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you both and on your show, and I'm excited about this next hour. But to go back to what you're saying, the reason why I even started basketball kind of circles all the way back to our mutual friend, Ame. So
Wow.
Ame and I were we were pageant participants together. That's how when I first met Ame. I think we're 13, 14 years old, and we were both in the Miss Caribbean USA Talented Teen Pageant. Okay,
Oh
now
boy.
now at the time we both aspired to be models. At the time, we were tall, and that's pretty much what all tall girls back in the day did or tried to do because they didn't fit in anywhere else. And I really didn't know much about the sport of basketball because, obviously being from the Caribbean, we grew up with soccer. So the only thing I knew about basketball was my father loved watching the Georgetown Hoyas. That's all I knew. And he would make me sit there when they played and watch the games with him. So that's all I knew. I wasn't really even paying attention. I just enjoyed sitting there with my dad watching basketball. So yeah, that was back in the Patrick Ewing days. That was his favorite team. So that's all I knew about basketball. But I was recruited because of my height. I was, Girl Scout as well, and crossing over that bridge from being a brownie to a cadet, a junior to a cadet. My Girl Scout leader's sister saw me, and she's like, "Wow, she's tall. Does she play basketball?" And I was like, "No, I'm a model. You know what I mean? I model." And she's like, "Well, you need to play basketball because you're really tall, and I think I could really help you be a really good basketball player." So I was like, "Okay." So I showed up for practice. Didn't know a thing about the game of basketball. Couldn't shoot, dribble, walk, chew gum at the same time. I mean, it was horrible. The only thing I could do because of my height was defend. Right, so I was very good a shot blocker, and I could defend. That was it. So that was my love of basketball. Started for just put your hands up. Basically started on the defensive end, but it's that's how I started. And then obviously I played seventh grade. That's how late I started playing basketball. And as you guys know, kids start like third grade. I started playing. So I was a really, really late bloomer with the game. Didn't understand it. Didn't know how to play it. Was learning on the spot. Just learning the fundamentals, how to pass, shoot, even catch. I couldn't even catch. I mean, I think I broke my nose like 2 times trying to catch a basketball because I was just so bad at it. But I got better. And ended up, kind of getting a high school opportunity, a quote scholarship, being recruited for high school with the same coach that recruited me in seventh grade. She went on to be the high school coach. She told me, "Hey, come to this high school. I can continue to get you better at the game of basketball." So I did that. And, for me, I'm an only child. So basketball became like my sisterhood. I had a lot of friends. It was easy to adjust to meeting new people because you already had a family, and you were part of a team. So that's what I really, really liked about the game of basketball. It wasn't the skill, it wasn't the talent, it was just the fact that I had sisters. Being an only child, that was just fun for me. And that's how the game started. That's how really it all started for me.
Oh my goodness, I've learned a couple of things. More things in common, Steve. I don't know if you were a Boy Scout, Steve. Were you ever a Boy Scout?
No, I wasn't a Boy Scout. See, I would want to be a Girl Scout because, like, the Boy Scouts only sell that popcorn,
Cookies?
and like nobody really wants to buy that popcorn, but those cookies are legit. So
Yeah.
I think I'd want to be a Girl
I was
Hmm.
Scout.
a Girl Scout.
You
Were
were a
you a
Girl
Girl
Scout as
Scout?
well.
I was a Girl Scout. I
We
was,
might just have to
yes.
have, in the final production, just start putting like list of all, like how many boxes the two of you check because there's a lot of similarities
I
going on here.
know.
There is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never thought about being a model, so can't check that box. So
I
I
was
did start
actually a
basketball in
model.
the 7th grade.
True story.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you
True
Well,
go.
for
story.
Steve.
It was a summer, I think, between my freshman and sophomore year of college. I was at my brother actually was at a mall, and he had this big mop of a head of hair, and so they were doing a runway show the next day. It was like L'Oreal and American Crew, and they were doing this runway show, and so they asked him to like do it because he had this moppy head, and then they needed people with more of like a medium. So they're like, "Do you have anybody you know?" So he's like, "Yeah, my brother." So they, took a look. Yep, you'll do. And then they did up like my hair and brought me down to a soul patch, and I did this runway show for American Crew hair care products. So
That's excellent.
and then
Yeah.
that was the highlight of
There
my
you
life.
go.
It's all been.
I need a picture. Well, I got to tell you, Daynia, you mentioned that modeling. You started in 7th grade. That to me, that's not late. I think that's like for basketball. I know that in most, like for volleyball, for me, a lot of girls started way before me.
Yeah.
I didn't aspire to play basketball. Imagine, as you could see this summer, I wasn't really that good.
We got to tell that story. We
Let's
have
tell
to tell that
later.
story.
All right,
But,
I will not let you forget whatever that story is. I will bring it back.
She will bring it up. I'm sure. I won't let her forget though, because
I have the video too, by the way, in case we need the video footage. I have that.
All right,
but
I'm sure we can insert that somewhere.
Yeah. Note to self. But yeah, I'm proud of it because guess what? It shows that parents don't have to be stars in whatever their children do. They just have to be passionate about learning about the sport or so forth or so on. But in 7th grade, I went to watch a friend try out for the team. And I just sat there and watched, and my social studies teacher was like, "You're tall, you need to come down." I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm just here to support a friend. I'm good." No, and I went and I made the team. For you, when you started in high school playing and you followed the coach, did you even aspire to play in college? And if you did, how did that go? How was your recruitment process? How did that go?
And two,
Yeah,
you ended up at Georgetown, right? And like that was all you knew back growing up too, and you ended up there.
Yeah.
So,
it's a funny story. Yeah, I really didn't think beyond high school, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about playing college basketball at all. It was just something fun, something to do after school and hang out with my friends and really have a family outside of my own family. That's all it really was for me. But I was getting better. I was getting better and better as my high school years went on. And by the time I was a senior, that's when the colleges started calling and recruiting me. And I didn't know anything about it. I played AAU basketball for the Liberty Bells in Queens, and we were a very good AAU team. We traveled during the summer, won some tournaments. But for me, to be honest, it was just fun. It was just like team, fun, sisterhood, friendships. That's all it was. And I started getting noticed because I was such a good defensive player, blocking shots and getting stops and rebounding. Just the things that I naturally did well because of my size really was my niche, and, I didn't try to be anything other than what I was, but I did like the defensive side of the game. That was, I was happy when I got blocked shots. I was happy. Listen, I was happy when I wanted to jump ball sometimes. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, my job's done. Go ahead, everybody else take over, But like I said, I just I was getting better and better as my high school years went on. Recruiting started. I mean, my AAU coach, the Liberty Bells coach, was getting calls from Georgetown. My top 4 were Georgetown, Columbia, Providence, and UConn, believe it or not. And at the time, UConn was not the UConn they are right now. They had just started really turning that program around. And Columbia was too close to home for me. UConn was too much in the boonies for me. I was a city girl and I couldn't stand seeing the cows and the fields and the barns. It wasn't my thing. And Providence was just, I didn't feel comfortable on that campus. It was a little dark and small. And so Georgetown obviously that was my dad's favorite team. Then you go there and you're actually in that city and there's just people and stores and restaurants and, such a historic university with a great reputation academically. So that's when I realized, hey, I can use this vehicle as an opportunity to get a great education for free, you know? So that's when I really realized what my talent could allow me to experience, at the next level. So, we went on our visit to Georgetown. I chose Georgetown, and, the rest is history. The Big East, it was the old Big East at the time. It was quite different for the women than it was for the men, obviously. John Thompson was the head coach at Georgetown. And I think my freshman year, Alonzo Mourning was a senior. My sophomore year, no, my junior year, Allen Iverson was a freshman.
What?
So that's that era where they were very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And, John Thompson was the king of the hill. He was the king of the hill, and he ran that school. And it's so funny. I thought Georgetown was HBCU because at the time watching Georgetown basketball on TV, it was all Black male athletes. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to Georgetown. They got some Black people there. No, just a team, just a team. So that was a whole new experience when I got on campus. I was like, wait, where are we? Where are us? So but it turned out to be
was your team? I know the men's team was predominantly Black. Was your team predominantly Black as well?
Not at all, not at all. I think we had 3 Black girls on my team when I went there, and all the rest were white. It kind of hit me a little bit. I mean, I went to all white high school, so it didn't really bother me. But when you think about a university like Georgetown, the first thing you think about is men's basketball.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And John Thompson and all the players that played for him were all Black, so if you didn't know any better, that you would assume it was a all Black institution.
That's funny that you say that, because now that I look, and Steve, sorry, but I'm reflecting. She's making me reflect on my own recruitment. And of course, I did not play basketball. I played volleyball. I thought Temple was an all Black school. I thought because John Chaney. I mean,
that's right.
And I was like, who's that coach on the sideline looking all disheveled and yelling and screaming? And when I got there, I was like, oh, it felt like, the players and so forth. I thought it was, and obviously it clearly was not when I got there. But because those coaches were like the icons of the school, and and that's what you knew. You followed, and just same with like Syracuse. You followed some of those schools, and people may want to say that, oh, it's about the school. Listen, when it comes to a football school like Michigan, I plug in Michigan for you, Steve, but Georgetown, Temple, it's the coach that lures everybody. Everybody, the coach might as well be the president of the school. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. People know the
very
coach,
true.
So
it's actually funny that you say that, because this moment, I 100% mean this. This is the first moment where I guess I'm realizing for the first time that Georgetown's not a predominantly Black school.
Really?
Like, that's my perception is Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson, Alonzo Mourning, like that. Like this, I'm literally realizing that right now that's not the case. Wow.
And who says sports is not the driving force at these academic institutions? But that's another day in time. So, okay, so you go on to play at Georgetown. You earn multiple degrees. I know that. And I got to tell you, I don't know if it's the way you started playing and, you had no interest and it was your passion that driven you. Like, you learned to love the sport. But did that have any bearing on you, earning a degree in psychology and education, like helping others or helping children? I'm assuming children, or you maybe, graduates. But as you got older, and were your teachers influencing you, or the sport of basketball helped determine what you wanted to do later on, like become a coach and so forth? How did that come to be?
Well, I think I was always a people person, I would say. And that's because I was an only child. So I always invested so much in my friends, getting to know them, understanding them. I don't know if either one of you guys have siblings, but when you're an only child, your perspective on life is totally different, right? So friends become like family, and now you can kind of force yourself to understand them, to learn them. So I kind of thought through psychology, it was a way for me to connect to people and really get to know them and really help them through different things in their lives. So that was very, very important to me. And that's why I chose psychology. And to be honest, I probably use my psychology degree more than my coaching knowledge when it comes to coaching women's basketball, if you think about it, because here you are as a coach, you're bringing, 12 players together, a staff together, and you got to get them all to be like-minded. And they're bringing all this baggage and all these different experiences in their life. And it's up to you to kind of make everybody get along, work towards the greater good as a team. So I use that psychology degree every day I was coaching this game of basketball. But it just felt natural for me because I was just always a people person, always invested in people and tried to understand people.
That makes complete sense, though. Like a lot of it is like in some of these, you hear the stories of like a Dennis Rodman, right? Who a Chuck Daly, what wasn't just his coach, but like was the person that was investing in him for sometimes the very first time. They never had any leaders investing in them. And so like a lot of that is psychology. That is dealing with them more as a person, probably more so than as a player in a lot of cases. So, yeah, that makes complete sense.
So what got you into coaching?
Oh, well, when I graduated Georgetown, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It was, I had a psychology degree, but I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in. And I got a call from I got a call from Long Island University, and the head coach, the Brooklyn campus, and the head coach was Marguerite Gualtieri. And she was also a Bishop Kearney graduate, which is where I went to high school. So she called me and said, hey, listen, I have a graduate assistant position available for you if you want to come back to Brooklyn and coach the game of basketball. And I was like, heck yeah, I want to come back to Brooklyn, and I get an opportunity to teach the game of basketball, which I've learned to love, and really, again, be a mentor to young women, and really impact their lives. And like Steve, like you said, a coach's responsibility is to not only coach, but also, continue to raise responsible and responsible people, and you have, as a coach, you have to take on that responsibility of understanding how you impact their lives on a daily basis. These young, 16 to 20-year-olds or 18 to 22-year-olds, you're just as important to them as a parent. So you have to really take on that responsibility to make sure you're doing right by them and you're teaching them life lessons through the game of basketball. So I kind of saw that as an opportunity to continue doing that and kind of giving back what my coach had given to me, and understanding the importance of that. So it just felt natural. It felt right. And it was a perfect fit for me to be a graduate assistant, get a graduate degree while coaching the game of basketball and continue to be impactful in the lives of young people.
What is, so you two are more in the inner circle, way more than I am. When I hear the term graduate assistant, like what is the role of a graduate assistant?
Whew. Do the laundry, pick up the trash, sit in study hall for 8 hours, watching the kids, get the food, go deliver it you did every and anything that nobody else on the staff wanted to do. That was pretty much what the job of a GA was. You broke down the film, just did all the dirty work, and at that time I was like a practice player. So I really didn't do much coaching in my first couple of years, but I was kind of like a practice player. So I would play against the girls. But it really was a lot of the dirty work that needed to be done, had to be done. And a GA is the one who really does it.
Yeah. And you also studied.
Yes.
You had classes, right?
Yes. I would come in the mornings, about 8, and then I would do study hall right after practice, maybe like 3 to 5, and then I would go to my graduate classes from like 5 to 8. That was
that's the graduate part of the graduate assistant. Yeah,
that's right. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
My graduate degree was in school psychology, so I was studying to be a school psychologist. At the time, it took me long. It was really an intensive course. It was, I think most graduate programs were around 30 credits at the time, and mine was about 50, 60.
Oh, wow.
So it was an intense course. It took me a long time to finally get that degree, not only because it was so many credit hours, but also that's when I got pregnant with Terance. So I got pregnant with Terance at the age of 23, and I think it was about a year into my graduate assistant position that I got pregnant with Terance. So then having him kind of, slowed everything down. So I kind of took my time after that, continuing to get my degree.
So
Kudos
this is
to
where
you,
the Motherlode part of the
This
Motherlode
is,
show
yeah.
comes in.
Okay, we're
This is
like
here.
rolling now. We're going
That's
to
Yeah.
seamless. We didn't even plan that.
I know. So now that we have you you're pregnant with Terance, you graduate after that, correct? You graduate,
Mhm.
and then what made you, or what was your first opportunity becoming a head coach?
So after I graduated with my degree, I had an opportunity to stop coaching and go into the school system as a school psychologist or continue coaching. And at that time, I was so invested in coaching and in love with coaching. And, I had this little toddler running around the gym thinking he was Michael Jordan, it was comfortable. It was a comfortable lifestyle for me. It was intense in terms of long hours, but it was comfortable. It wasn't like a 9 to 5 where you're sitting behind a desk. It would just felt natural. It's something I'd been doing since the 7th grade. So I didn't want to give up that passion or that opportunity to stay in coaching. So I did not use my degree. I did not go into school psychologist. I became a coach full time at Long Island University. I was there for maybe 8 years. And I started as a GA, went to restricted earnings coach because that's what it was back in the day, then to full-time assistant, then to recruiting coordinator. So over about 6 to 8 years, I kind of grew in that program and finally ended being a recruiting coordinator, I believe in, I think 8 years. And that's when I got an opportunity to go to St. John's. I left Long Island University, Brooklyn campus, and went to St. John's and spent 3 years at St. John's University on the women's side as a recruiting coordinator. And that's right below the head coach. It's like the head coach and you got the recruiting coordinator. So I made my way all the way up from GA all the way up to recruiting coordinator. I was at St. John's for 3 years. And that's when I got asked to be a head coach at the University of New Haven in 2006.
So, okay, so I mean, and I don't want to make this a thing of like Division 1 versus Division 2. However, I want to know, as a female,
it sounds like that's exactly what she's about to do.
I'm going there as a female. I know what it was like playing at a Division 1 level, and for you, coaching, it was LIU Division 2.
No, they were Division 1. Yep.
They were Division 1. Okay, see,
Northeast Conference. Yeah.
And then you go in, the conferences make a big difference, correct? Because
Huge.
like that conference as opposed to St. John's, now you're going back to the Big East, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Was there, and I'm just curious, inquiring mind, so we won't touch on this for long, but how big of a jump was that for you as far as the resources that you had as a coach? Like, was that a huge difference? Did you have the support staff? And like, tell us about that.
Definitely. So going from, lower Division 1 school like Long Island University to St. John's was just night and day pretty much. I mean, we go from having, 2 full-time assistants to now 3 full-time assistants. So now the workload is spread out a little bit more. The budget's different. We go from maybe $60,000 a year budget to now maybe $200,000 budget. So you're traveling a little bit better. You're not taking those long bus rides, eating a little better. The gear is a little nicer. The gear is a little nicer. The equipment to do your job is even better. Now you got computers. You have recruiting software. You have editing software. Everything just is much easier when you're at a higher Division 1 level for sure. Compared to the men, not so much, but on the women's side, you still, it was just much better. Going from a lower Division 1 school to now a Big East school like St. John's.
Wow.
St. John's. My first ever experience with St. John's University was from coming to America when they went to the St. John's game. I was like,
oh yes,
I'm going to look into St. John's a little more. That's awesome. That was my first experience with St. John's.
Growing up in New York, I mean, Louis Carnesecca with his sweaters, that's always on TV. I saw that a lot. I mean, Big East basketball was everything in New York. Having Syracuse, having St. John's, and then Seton Hall, which was like right across the water or whatever. But it was that was the thing. Like, so that's interesting. So, okay, so you're a head coach now, then you go from to St. John's, and then I know then you ended up at URI, the Rams. Was that A10?
Yeah.
Was that the A10?
Yes. A10 for
A10,
sure.
okay. And then,
Yeah.
so you were, from my understanding, you were also like the first Black female head coach. Was it in the
At
conference
URI.
or at the school? Was it at the school
At
or
the
in the
school. At the
conference?
school. Yeah.
Okay. And how
Yeah.
was that? How was that?
Good. A lot of firsts in my journey for sure in my
Mm-hmm.
coaching world. When I left St. John's and decided to be a head coach at Division II school, University of New Haven, which is in West Haven, Connecticut. My first year with them, we won the conference. I got Coach of the Year. It was my time to kind of implement my philosophy on the game, my style of play. It was fun. I could finally, for once, make my own schedule based on my kids' schedule as opposed to the other way around, right? So
Yes.
that was huge for me as a mother. Like, I could now make sure I'm off of work by 3 so I could pick them up from school, do their homework with them. Whereas an assistant, you don't have that luxury. You're basically, at the whim of the head coach and the schedule. So, I finally had a chance as a head coach to spend a lot of more time with my kids. And one of the biggest regrets I have about coaching is the fact that I did not get a lot of time to spend with my kids. I sacrificed, plays, graduation sometimes, just special moments in their lives because I had a responsibility. And coaching is 24/7. It is not a 9 to 5. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle, right? So my kids were really the ones who really took the brunt of that type of career. But in their eyes, they're like, oh my God, my mom's a coach and she's traveling and she's playing basketball and it's fun. Like, they didn't see what I saw, So sometimes I tell them, I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Like, Mom, what are you talking about? We had fun. We were having fun. You were in the gym. We were in the gym. We were traveling. They were in the back of the bus being babysat by 12 girls. They're coming on road trips with me. They're enjoying it. And I'm feeling guilty because I can't be the type of mother that's, completely invested in my kids. So I missed a lot. I missed a lot with my friends, my family, because like I said, it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. So, that's something that I think about often and kind of feel a little bit guilty about. But then when I talk to my boys now who are 20, 25 and 27, and both of them have had ample opportunities to just experience life through the game of basketball, I kind of figured out it was all worth it. Look where Terance is now. Look what Martin has accomplished because of the game of basketball. It was worth it. So I have to kind of forgive myself sometimes for that.
Well, that's listen, Steve, isn't she great? She gives us segues. I mean, segues, we're just moving along and we're all these questions in my head. But I got to tell you, from what I've seen and from afar, I mean, I know it as a spouse of a coach. So I've never really had the opportunity to speak to a female coach who's raising kids and, just the I could only imagine what, how you tried to balance that. And from one of our former guests, remember, we don't use the word balance, right? It's not you don't balance, but you gave us a nugget and I'm thinking it's a lifestyle because coaching is a lifestyle, and how you raise your children within that lifestyle. It's about, this is mommy's job. This is not the only way of life. This is what I have to do, but I'm also a mom. I'm also your mother and things like that. But they grew up around the game of basketball. And for me, I'm thinking, obviously, as a mother, sports is such a great opportunity to teach kids about everything. Your teammates, your boss, you can't pick your boss sometimes. You can't pick your teammate. You can't do this and so forth. So with that, I think you've done a tremendous job. I mean, listen, you have 2 sons who Terance is the older one, right? And Martin, right? And Martin, okay, we'll get to Terance in a minute, okay? But Martin, I want to say, Martin, who I got to meet this summer, he graduated. He went to school. Did he play basketball as well in college?
He played Division II basketball at Pace University. And then he graduated and went to Dickinson College to get a master's degree. So he played Division II and Division III basketball.
So, Mom, I don't think you need to be too hard on yourself. You have a son with multiple degrees, played a sport
Mm-hmm.
that obviously he must have loved through you. And then you have another child who has played also in college, right? He went to
Mm-hmm.
Florida State? Florida State, Steve? I know
Yes,
Steve's doing his
Florida
research.
State.
Yeah, Florida State.
And what are they? The Seminoles.
Seminoles.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you balance that? Were you still coaching because I know you coached in the WNBA, and I just trying to figure out, how did you balance coaching and now that they're older, going to college? How did you go? Did you watch them play via TV like my husband and watch film? How did you balance that, supporting them?
Yeah, it was. I mean, majority of the times that I saw my son play was probably on a computer. Following his games. I remember, like just say his tip off was at 6 and mine was at 7. I remember being in the locker room pregame looking at his game on my phone. And until I wouldn't go out until it was time for me to go out to my game, but I would watch his game until the last second I possibly could. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier was because I was a head coach, I could really rearrange my schedule to make time for my kids, unlike being an assistant. So there were times, I would schedule my days off so I could fly to Tallahassee really quick, watch him play live, turn around that next morning or even that night, go back to the airport and fly out the next day. So I'm back for practice. So being a head coach gave me the luxury of kind of working my schedule around my kids' schedule as much as possible and catching any games that I can. If I could find a kid in Tallahassee to recruit and make a recruiting trip, I would do that just so I can go watch Terance play, And Martin the same for Martin. It was just being a head coach had its luxury, although the fact that every and anything in the program was your responsibility, from the recruits, the players, to the staff, to the academics, to their happiness, to what they ate, how they're acting. It was a huge load on your shoulders. That's the difference between being an assistant and a head coach. As an assistant, you weren't responsible for anything other than your job responsibilities. Everything fell on the head coach. But as a head coach now, yes, my time was a lot easier to manipulate, but the stress load was twice as high being a head coach as it was as an assistant, because you are responsible for everything that goes on in your program, from what they wear to how they act to how they play. And that was stress. That was very, very, very stressful. And, that's the reason why, and Sandra and them laugh at me all the time. They're like, where are you now? What part of the world you're in now? Because now I don't have that level of stress in my life. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm traveling and being present every and anywhere I can, because I just never had that for 26 years. Never had that availability.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted just thinking about traveling.
What a fun time, right? To be able to have that time back. You've invested so much in, yes, these girls and these players and these young women, but also in them too. Them getting to go show up in practices, and that's stuff regular old people like Steve don't get to be a part of. And so
right.
As you're investing, they're picking up stuff that you have no idea that they're picking up. And while you're teaching these young women, to be young women, I'm sure they were picking up some of that stuff too, on maybe even how to treat these young women, or how to respect these young women, or how to stay away from them, because they will tear you up. So I think there was a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
That I'm guessing that they were picking up along the way because of the leadership and the psychology. You had mentioned, I didn't use my degree, but you also use your degree that whole time too. So I think it's awesome just how stuff comes together and things that that's a throwaway. No, like that. I'm sure, back to talking about your graduate assistant, I didn't know that that's what that went through, but I bet you those little things that were grunt work, that were,
Mm-hmm.
you thought was just maybe busy work at the time, or maybe punitive, where it's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
we'll make this, even though it doesn't, how probably that stuff all, helped you in your coaching. And I
For
just,
sure.
I think you're
Yeah.
a great example. And then now the fun part is, all right, now you've got Terance doing his
Mm-hmm.
thing for the Clippers, which is so
Yeah.
fun to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get
And
to be able to enjoy it.
I actually curious because again, I reflect on myself, not to make it about myself, but I've never actually spoke to a mom who was a former coach on multiple levels. We're not going to discredit you. You're also a coach in the WNBA, but now I got to talk about the
Mm-hmm.
kids. I got to talk about the kids a little bit more. But how do you, when you watch, I've never been with you watching an NBA game. We watched WNBA game together, so we're a little bit lax and,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
probably have a cocktail in my hand watching, But, how are you when you're watching? Are you watching as a coach or are you watching as a mom? Because there's a difference. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, how are you watching?
That's a great question. I think I'll always wear my coaching hat, no matter when it comes to the game of basketball. I can't be a fan of it because I just see the good, the bad, the ugly. I see what was supposed to happen, what didn't happen. I understand why mistakes were made. I understand why there was a win as opposed to a loss, or vice versa. So I can't ever shut that off. But I think when I talk to my son after games, we talk after every game. And I even spoke to him last night after that hard loss that they had to Denver.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we speak after every game. And I have to be careful in that moment not to be a coach, but to be a mom. So I've grown in that. I think our language of love has been basketball for so long that now that he is at the level that he is, there's no need to coach him anymore. He's at the highest level. There's nothing I could tell him that his coaches don't know, that he hasn't heard before. So I have to be very careful and be more mom. And I think our conversations are more mental health conversations as a mom than, hey, I saw you didn't box out. You let Reggie Jackson you let Reggie Jackson take you right to the basket. Like, I saw that. Move your feet, dude. You know what I mean? I can't hit him over the head with the basketball stuff because he knows now. He's probably more intelligent about the game than me, right? So I think as a mom now, it's supporting the mental health of the game. Knowing that I know the game, I could support him by telling him the right things to overcome some of his mistakes. Don't worry about it. Next play, like you have 75 more games left, so 80 something. Don't worry about that. Things will start to fall into place. You just keep doing you, stay true to who you are as a player. My Terance will probably never be a 25-point scorer game after game, but he just brings so many intangibles to the game that allow everybody else on the court to be great. And that to me is a coach's dream, to have a player that's selfless, and hardworking and do the little things. And you just know that you need that person on the court to win games. That to me is just the best, because I've coached that, and I know what it's like to have those type of players, and I know what it's like to not have those players, right? So he's learned a lot about the game of basketball through a coach's perspective. So he understands the little things. He understands boxing out. He understands diving on the floor for loose balls, making an extra pass. Just the little things that make a possession so much better that a lot of people with talent don't really do, right? They don't really value. And yeah, Jalen is an example of that too. He plays the game a lot differently than a lot of the guys because he understands the game so well because he grew up in that. So Terance is like that. And so I spend a lot of time being more of a mom, but yet he knows when I say something, there's like validity to what I'm saying because I have that background. I have that knowledge of the game. So he'll listen a little bit more. And, it's just finding the right time to balance both, I think is very important. I've learned that. Believe me, I've been his biggest critic for a long time, Mom, the coach won't play me. He's got a problem with me. No, he probably is not playing you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I was that type of mom. He subbed me out. I don't know why he subbed you out. He subbed you out because you didn't box out. Like, I was always like, he couldn't pull a wool over my eyes when it comes to the game. And I was always, instead of him, he probably just wanted to hear, it's okay, baby. I know it's okay. But I never was like that. But now I'm a little bit more like, okay, you go ahead and I'll listen, and then we'll turn the page and keep it moving.
That's so comforting to hear, because one, you've played the game, you've coached the game, and now your child plays the game on the highest level. And how is it for you? I know how I feel. Then you hear people critiquing your child.
Oh.
I had to go there. I just had to go there. Let's be honest. It hurts, but you got to tune it out. You got to tune it out, right? But you're a mother. So how is that?
That mama bear mode don't change. I don't care what hat I'm wearing. And the worst is when you're in somebody else's arena and they start talking behind you, and you just want to turn around and punch them. Yeah, it's very difficult, because obviously we're their first level of protection from the day when they were born, and that's not going to change. And I don't care how many points he has, how many minutes he plays, win or lose, I'm going to always protect him, right? That's my job as a mom. So when you hear things like that, it's hard not to feel it in your gut. You know what I mean? And I understand you probably know what I'm talking about, that gut feeling where it just hurts for you. It hurts you for them, and you want to defend them, and you can't defend them through everything in life, right? So, you have to learn to, like you said, just ignore it, let it roll off your back, and not read it, not embrace it, not let it impact you or your son. But it's the most difficult thing I think I've ever been through, because obviously when he played at Florida State and you played in high school, nobody really critiques your game like that. But now when you're on a national stage, night in and night out, these fans think they own them. They own our sons.
In an LA market,
in the LA market. And now with the sports betting, most people are not watching as a fan. This is a form of supplementing income, and they have an invest. They're not even, it's about shots under and over. And I don't really understand a lot of it. I heard it in a parlay. I heard it, and I knew it too. I was like, wait a minute, I know there's betting somewhere. I know that term, but I don't understand it, and I don't want to. But
I just asked my husband the same thing. What is parlay? Because I heard it at the Knicks game. The guy was like, he was a Knicks fan. And he was like, let's go Kawhi. And everybody's like, why are you a Knicks fan? He's like, my parlay. They're like, oh. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Steve, we got to learn about parlay.
What is that?
I know about parlays. Come on now.
Please explain to us, because I don't understand it.
So if you place a bet, right? So like I bet for the Knicks to win the game against the spread, right? Okay, so that's one thing. And the odds might be somewhat small, right? But if you now couple that, parlay that with another bet. So not only does this win have to happen, but within that, maybe Brunson's got to get 30 points, and then the odds of that match with the odds of that first one. And so it's a way that if you do a parlay, you can bet a little bit of amount, but because the odds start to get higher and higher and higher, your payouts can be pretty high. So, you basically parlay a couple or three bets together, and all of them have to happen in order for you to get that payout. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie I think it's called Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. It's a really weird, intense movie, but part of that is he is placing this bet, and Kevin Garnett's part of it, and he's like, giving like Kevin Garnett this lucky stone, and like a big part of that is this parlay that he's trying to win millions of dollars for. But yeah, parlay is basically you place multiple bets, and all of them have to happen in order to take it out, and it's a way to kind of watch one game, but three things or more have to happen, and then you get a higher payout. So,
I got to tell you, with that, like there's some people. I remember sitting at a game and we were in Phoenix, and this guy had a piece of paper, and he had all this information on there, but he kept saying, shoot, like every time Jalen had the ball, shoot it. We were like, whoa, like shoot. But I guess Jalen had to score a certain amount of points, and we were like, geez, like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And it's just like, so I realize now a lot more people are involved, but on a different level. And then like, I didn't understand why people were so mad or aggressive, and now I understand, because betting is a part of it now because, whether he scored, they won. So why are you not? No, it's like, oh, he had one less assist. So it's the score possibly, and it could be the over or under and this. And that's way beyond my pay grade. I don't understand it. But again,
meanwhile, all we care about is our kids walk away healthy from that game.
Yep.
Yes.
You know what I mean? No injuries. No injuries is a parlay for me, a win for me.
Yes. There you go. No injuries.
Yeah.
Safety first and foremost, because, my son, he's not the biggest, right? So he's usually always under these 7-foot guys or whatever. It's probably some places that he should not be. And so it gets a little tough. And, but with that, okay, so let's just move on a little bit and fast forward to now that your son is in the league, how we got together and started to talk about, because our children now have foundations. Your son has a foundation, the Terance Mann Complete Player Foundation. Did I say that right?
Yes.
And we should go by the letters and acronyms. I'm like, okay, TC. Okay. But tell us about that and your role and how and what you're doing with that. And have you 1 year yet in? I know we're kind of on the same timeline.
Yeah.
Not a year yet. So please explain
not a year
that.
Yet. Sure. Yes. Sure. Well, obviously being at this level, having this platform and being at this level, there's just so much more our kids can do other than showing up night in and night out and playing the game of basketball, right? There's a level of responsibility I think they have to, reach back and to bring others along or to, let them know how they got to where they are and support any which way that they can. And I think that's what we want to try to do, to make them responsible for who they are and how many lives they could impact. And, Terance, he had a best friend, Xavier, that he grew up with in Lowell. And Terance at the time was going to prep school 5 days a week. He would come home on weekends and tell Xavier, all about the good stuff that was happening at prep school and how he's enjoying his classmates and getting a great education. And Xavier being, in Lowell and attending a regular public school couldn't really relate. And it turns out Xavier went down the wrong path, started doing drugs, eventually overdosed and died from drugs. So Terance kind of felt like, if he had the opportunities that I had to go to prep school and to be invested in the game of basketball, 5 nights a week and not be on the streets, maybe he would still be here enjoying this with me. So he's like, Mom, I want to do more. I want to make sure kids, don't have an outlet, have a path that they could follow that's positive, not be on the streets. And, I think our foundation is more preventative than it is throwing money at the problems. I think some foundations, you just throw money at the problem, but we want to catch these kids early where we're giving them hope. We're giving them an academic opportunity that's different from the regular public school system. It's a private school system, boarding schools. We're supporting that, teaching them how to take the SSATs for boarding school, how to apply for boarding school, how to even fund boarding school, because most people like us don't think we could even afford $60,000 a year tuition for boarding schools. So the foundation does bridge gap funding where we pay whatever is missing out of a scholarship award letter. For example, if the tuition is $65,000 and they only get $60,000 in aid, we'll cover the extra $5,000 to make sure that happens. But that prep school system, it changed my son's path. It changed him and put him on the right path, where he was at school with, a small school size. I mean, like 6-to-1 student teacher ratio, being with kids that are like-minded, just taking him out of that city environment and putting him in an environment where he's invested in his studies and his talent. So he wants to do that. He wants to try to do that for other kids. So that's what our foundation is about. The Terance Mann Complete Player Foundation, just educating families on the possibilities of boarding school and prep schools, helping them learn how to apply, how to take the test, how to afford it, just really exposing them to that sort of learning that a lot of us in our community don't even know about, one, don't even think they could afford, two, and don't even know where to begin. And, so that's what we do, along with having camps and clinics, just avenues to keep the kids off the streets, and keep them growing their game, buying into their talent and really trying to create pathways where people aren't making the wrong decisions, and, that's pretty much what our foundation is all about.
That's awesome. So is that, is that just in LA? Is that in the New York area? Or where, like, so where, where are these
It,
located at?
because my son is bi-coastal, I guess we're everywhere in between New York and LA. It's funny because obviously we do have camps in Massachusetts, which is where he grew up in Lowell. We had a clinic in LA. We had a clinic in Pittsburgh, which is where I live. We were doing a clinic in Tallahassee, which is where he went to school. So he's like, Mom, every place that I've been, I want to touch. I want to make sure I, help anybody anywhere that I can, especially if it was an area that was important to him. So and the thing about camps, you could do them anywhere. You could do clinics anywhere. You don't really have to be rooted in one area to do that. And the good thing about the prep school system is we have partnered up with a organization called Inspiring Young Minds, which has been in existence for 19 years. And they have been placing minority students in the prep school systems for 19 years across the country. So all we do is we fund them. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. They were great at what they did. We just continue to fund them so that they could have more of a reach. I always say they don't want to be the mom and pop. They want to be the Walmart. They want to be able to be the organization that completely, holds a child in the parents' hands all the way from the beginning to the end of this prep school system, because we understand how it could change a child's life tremendously. So that's what we do.
So how does one get in touch with or want to start a path on possibly going to boarding school or using or contacting your foundation for help, and if that's possible, or how do you go about finding these kids? Do you find them through your camps, or do they go to the website? Tell us how they get to...
So our camps, not only do we do skills and drills and teach the game of basketball, but at every camp that we've held, we also have a mini academic fair where prep schools from all around the country come to our camps. They come to our camps to watch the kids play, possibly recruit, but also to let the kids and the parents know about what's out there, what's available when it comes to prep schools. So we had a camp in Massachusetts, and we had 45 prep schools. A couple from California came all the way to Massachusetts just for a prep school fair. It was phenomenal. We had 160 campers. Their parents were there. Each school had a table with different, brochures and paraphernalia just to explain what the entire prep school program is about. And we just don't know it's out there, and I'm sure, Sandra, you'd agree, when I was younger in Brooklyn, prep schools were either for people who could afford it or people who got in trouble and had to get away, right? We had to tuck them away somewhere, right?
Exactly.
So, but it's just so much more than that. And even the ones that were tucked away, that their life changed because people knew how important that opportunity was to get them out of their environment, right?
Yes.
So it's really just educating people on what's out there, and not letting them be intimidated by the price tag. It's, there are scholarships out there. There is money out there. There's funding. There's everything out there to help you help your child. So that's one way, is really to kind of bring the prep schools to our camps. And another way is just by, going to inspiringyoungminds.org and filling out the application. And we worked hand in hand with the director, Mark Chung, to really anybody that we recommend, we send them there to him, and he makes it happen. And if there's funding that's needed, our foundation will write a check to make sure there's nothing that's going to stop or prevent that child from having that prep school education or that experience. It's life-changing. I saw it as a parent for my two boys, and it's just something that a lot of us don't understand the value of. I mean, these prep schools are pacing these kids to go to Ivy League colleges, pacing them to become, the prestigious academic institutions. Those are the schools that are looking for these type of kids who are responsible, who are great academically, who could really acclimate into the college lifestyle because they've been in that type of system, right? So why not us?
Wow.
Why not us?
Yeah, I'm on the website right now, looking just the calendar of events that you had this year is
breathtaking. I don't even know how I saw her as many times as I did.
Had to have been a lot.
I'm exhausted. And
it looks like you've got a Thanksgiving dinner coming up.
Yeah. So we have a Thanksgiving. We sponsored a Thanksgiving dinner for the Lowell Boys and Girls Club, which is where Terance grew up. That's where he spent his formative years. So we always try to give back to that community. That's very special to him. But from backpack giveaways to Thanksgiving drives, toy drives, camps, clinics, Fundraising events, just different things. So that way we continue to reach more and impact more lives. We say changing a life one shot at a time. Right.
I like that.
So
I like
that's,
that. I like
yeah.
All right,
these are the
what is something if a young kid was going to pick up some skills at a camp and could only go to a Terance Mann skills camp or a Jalen Brunson skills camp, what are they going to learn at a Terance Mann camp that they're not going to learn at a Jalen Brunson camp?
They're similar, very similar. Jalen could score a little bit better than Terance, I must admit. I think just for both players, just understand the intangibles of the game, just the little things. And we call it the complete player because that's what he is. They call him a Swiss Army knife. He could do a little bit of everything, because he understands the importance of doing everything. Like I said, he may not, average 25 points, 30 points per game, but he's going to fill the stat sheet. He's going to have assists. He's going to have steals. He's going to have rebounds. He's probably going to do a lot of the little things that aren't on the stat sheet, but everybody that knows the game knows it's because of what he did. Yeah. So those are the type of things we teach at our camp, just all the skills and the importance and teaching them why. Why do I have to box out? Why do I have to rebound? I just want to score. I just want to, go one-on-one. I don't want to understand the game. Like we have very good, because we're a basketball family, everybody that runs our camps know the game of basketball. Like my husband, Eddie Benton, we run Force Basketball, which is a basketball training business in Pittsburgh. He runs our camps. He's got 25 years of college coaching experience. So he's bringing to these kids, hey, this is what you need in order to be successful. This is how you have to do it. And this is why you have to play the game this way. That's why Terance is a complete player. So I think our camps gives kids a leg up because we're surrounding them by former college players that understand the game. And as executive director, I'm going to make sure what we teach the kids are things that they're going to need to learn to be successful basketball players, well-rounded, complete players, not just scorers. And now, you get kids, I want to just come in and do. No. You got to slow down, son. But
you're going to come in and get swatted all the time is what you're going to do if you don't know how to pass the ball.
And you got to be a team player. You got to do the little things. This is what coaches are looking for. And I'm a coach. My husband is a coach, and everybody that runs our camps, they're coaches first. So I think that's what they're going to get when they come to the Terance Mann camp.
I love
that's
that.
Awesome. I'm not touching that, Steve. We're going to leave it.
Hey, I gotta.
Well, because I think that you mentioned something that's really important from a coach's perspective. A lot of things that Rick used to tell some of Jalen's teammates or players that he coached in high school is that coaches are looking at your body language. How do you react? Whether or not you, during the game, how you act after you miss. How do you act after a mistake? Yeah. How do you treat your teammates?
That's right.
And it wasn't just about scoring. There were times where my husband used to tell Jalen, I didn't come to watch you score. When he was younger. And he's like, no, there are things as a coaches and have a different mindset. Parents think that, my son's like dunking and all that.
Yeah.
Like, even if you scored, and I don't know about you, but I'm thinking like they could have had a horrible shooting night. Coaches understand that not every night you're going to be on your best, right? And so it's just like, but how do you come back the next game? Or how do you treat your team? Are you doing the things that you need to help your team win? Yeah, you may not be scoring tonight. Okay, but are you doing defensive things? As
exactly.
I could hear all these things and I'm like, wow, okay, I get it. And these are things that I think you probably are guiding parents through the camps and saying, like, don't be a fan. Like, that's another thing. Like, please don't be a fan. Support your child in other ways, right? Yeah. So kudos to you, your husband. I know that Martin is supporting the foundation as well. Yes. I mean, you guys have, just from the little things that I've watched and learned, and I'm trying to catch up. But it's an amazing thing that you're doing. And I feel like, the complete player, but as a mom, I was going to tell you, you have complete humans. Your sons are fabulous. And just the fact that, going back to school, getting their degrees, everything that they do, whatever their passion is, they do it full throttle. They're doing everything, and it there's ups and downs, right? But it
Yes,
sounds
yes.
as though that you've guided them the
Mm.
best way. And I've learned so much about you. I'm just like, oh,
All
I'm
right,
looking
I
like
have two.
you
I have
help
two
me.
more things. How can people get involved in? Obviously, if they're in
Yeah,
LA or they're in, Pittsburgh, or if they're in New
yeah.
York area, there's probably some pretty easy ways to do that. But somebody that might be sitting in Chicago or something, how can they help support what you
I
all are doing?
think I think I think the best way is to just donate. Donate whatever you can to the foundation, tmcpf.org, and continue to allow us to impact lives and change lives, because that's what we're here to do. Sandra, I don't know if you get this, but people say, why should we give to your foundation? Your son's a millionaire, right?
Yes,
He
yes.
can't do it all by himself. You know what I mean? But he could use his influence, his platform to bring others along to change more and to do more. And that if you get that, then you'd want to support, you'd want to give. So it's really of, just supporting. We're doing something called Pledge It. I know Jalen's on Pledge It as well, where you can go to pledgeit.org/TMCPF. And for every field goal Terance attempts during the game, you could pledge a certain amount. So anywhere from 20 cents to $1.20, or give a flat amount. But it's fun, it's competitive. You get a chance to really stay engaged with how he's playing. And we all want him to shoot more. So I figured it was an
So he could go
incentive.
0 for 27, and we're still raising.
We're still raising money.
All right.
Yes, yes.
That's genius. That's genius, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Offset that mindset. Hey, I went 0 for 27. That was rough for my team, but hey,
Hey,
Still helping.
look how these kids are benefiting.
I'm changing a life one shot at a time.
There you go. There you go. Well,
I love that.
So
And
yeah.
then the second thing, I can't let you not go back to what is this video? Like I promised you I'd go back to.
Oh, I will definitely send it. Steve, send me a number to chat.
Okay, you got it.
And,
I think I have it too.
but you know what? Like she said, she was all for the team. I called her that morning. I said, Sandra, I need you to show up at this community center. I have a clinic, a bunch of kids, and I need coaches. I need help. She was there. She did the drills to the best of her ability. She was phenomenal. Her and some other moms. So, you can't say that she wasn't lacking in effort.
Yeah. Well, hey, presence is a big part of it. Just showing up is a big part of it.
Yes.
So.
I did need Jalen to teach her how to dribble between the legs and behind the back, though. We need to get her some lessons, Jalen Brunson. You need to teach your mom how to dribble.
There's a couple skills camps in the summer.
I just work on the admin side of things. I'm the brains behind things. I learned that's why I played volleyball. I knew that skill set was there. Basketball, I'm sorry to say. But yes,
it was a fun day.
Yes, we will share the video. I'm proud of it because guess what? I encouraged my son to work on his skills as well. So I could just say that he want them to be better than us, and he has really done his part. I gotta tell you though, Coach La-Force, I mean, she Force in that last name tells you because she wasn't taking no for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the drills and we just blowing her whistle and we were just running back and forth. And so it was fun. I loved how just watching young children try. That was I wish we could do more of those because it's just about having them just come and give effort. And I think those young people did that day, and it was truly fun. And I thank you for calling me and and letting me come and join the other moms. It was an experience. I look forward. I am going to work on my skills before the next one.
My cell phone number, I just dropped it in the notes. So
I will get it to you.
It's gonna be a social media post.
Listen, there's no shame in my game. We can post.
That's funny.
It's all good. My family knows my weaknesses. They know that I'm no good at basketball. So.
It was fun.
Thank you so much for
You're
spending
welcome.
time with us. I look forward to seeing you hopefully at a game this season. And I thank you for spending time with Steve and him learning about you. Steve, you have another player to support.
I do. They're it's adding up.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Well, I have been a fan of Terence's, like you said, the way he plays with the energy that he
Mhm.
plays. Like, I mean, I grew up a Detroit fan, so like, guys like the Ben Wallace that just
Mm.
they do all the little like things. Like Terance
Exactly.
is that guy, and so
Yeah.
even before I knew I was going to get to hang out with you, like you just watch the way he
Awesome.
plays, and you can't help but root for him. So
Well, thank
And it
you. Thank
sounds
you
like
very much.
it
yeah,
sounds as though he is definitely well on his way as being a very philanthropic young man and just giving
Hmm.
back. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for
You're
teaching me
welcome.
some things. I look forward to talking with you off camera,
Yes. And
and
thank you for helping me. Sandra has been very instrumental in helping me get this foundation off the ground. She, gave me a lot of her resources. We talk all the time, bounce things off of each other. So thank you, sis, for that. You're phenomenal and you're very good at what you do. Forget about the dribbling. You are very good at what you do, I must admit. And they are very lucky. Jalen should be very lucky to have you in his corner because you are tremendous. You are very tremendous. And I
thank you.
appreciate you sharing with me.
Yes,
Yeah.
always, always. Definitely would love to see other people grow in the space and learn from each
Hmm.
other. So thank you. Appreciate you. Wow, that was awesome, Steve.
uh, yeah. Like where did I don't know. Like you just keep bringing keep bringing great people, and
I mean, it's amazing because you learn so much about like the people that you think you know, or you only know them to an extent that you know them. So for her, I mean, the nuggets, the takeaways. I
yeah.
mean, her saying that, improving lives one shot at a time. Wow. That was impactful. That kind of hit home for me. And what about you? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, just that I love how it's a family business almost of
Mm,
basketball and philanthropy. It's like it's kind of who they are, and they're all involved in that, and just looking back through their lives and like where people have blessed them, how
mhm.
they could turn around and bless those same people, even like through some coaches that have impacted her, and she wants to impact people in that same way. That just whole you can just tell it's who they are, and it's not La-Forced. Get it? It's
One for Steve.
uh, yeah, it's just who they are as people, and so and like you
Yeah.
said, now I've got I'm gonna have to start adding stuff to that. I gotta get a Clippers thing now, and do you see? I've got my sent me the there's my crystal
No.
ball and there's my
Here's
rubber
my
ball.
crystal ball right there, and my bouncy ball, which I've been throwing around, as you can
Right.
tell.
Well,
Yeah.
that'll bounce right back, but that crystal ball, you can't. Yeah, I mean,
And the sacrifices that Daynia made, and talking about how many things she's missed, and obviously as parents, father or mother missing those first, missing those games, missing those because of the career choices that we make. I mean, and the impact on her, I think, kudos to her because she's actually able to now come full circle with her sons and give back to others. So, I mean, she's tough on herself, but she's done a wonderful job. And just, I can't wait to continue to see how they grow in this family business of giving.
yep. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, thank you again, bringing the guests. And until next
Right.
time, I cannot wait to see who we have next.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Take
Check us out
care.
on the next episode of the Motherlode.